Hello guys, welcome back to TirsbaekTV. Today we are in the smallest corner of the biggest barn with this Land Rover 88-inch lightweight, which some of you may remember was the subject of our very first 2 videos ever on YouTube, and this is the first time it's been the main feature of a video since then, when we filmed our first 2 videos in 2011.
That's 5 years ago.
6 years, 2017?
Yeah.
Minus
6 years.
6.
Yeah,
6 years.
Yeah, we had 17 now.
Yeah. There's a reason we're standing in an old, dirty barn with this and not building space rockets. So yeah, but the objective of today is basically to get it running, and that's over to you.
Yeah, getting it running, because we got out of the rear bit of the farm, like the rear yard, a couple of years ago. It had been started for about 5 years. We put some new oil in it, we got a new water pump on it as well, and we pulled it with an ATV and it started like that. Really, really simple, and I've been running ever since that. But now, when I had to move it the other day because we had to get some parts from in here and put some Land Rover axles up there, that one did not want to drive. It cranked over fine, but it wouldn't start. And said, all right, we just pull it, and we tried to pull it, but all the wheels completely locked up. And like when we pulled it forward, the rear wheels were going backwards and the front wheels were just locked, and the other way when we put it back again. So something's definitely wrong with the axles or somewhere on the drivetrain, and we don't know where it is. But first we just want to get it started. I did some troubleshooting, and I think I know where the problem is, and I hope I know what the problem is. And it might be the glow plugs that have been burned out, because that's a common fault on the old series, and they're wired, so if one glow plug fails, they all just fail, which is kind of a stupid idea to do. But so now we want to put some new, better glow plugs in it, and we're going to wire them so if one fails, the 3 others will still start. I'll be able to heat up the cylinder, start up, and then the last one will come when the plug is heated. So that's the main bit of today. If we can get started, we'll see if we can actually get it moving by its own power. And
Gonna have to move half the barn to actually get it out.
To get it out, just move a bit forward and
You
backwards.
won't be able to see this from your perspective, but there is so much stuff right here, from lawnmowers to tractors, to a light that is brighter than the sun. But it was the only way we could light this up.
Yeah, this is the most darkest part of the whole barn.
Yeah, and something else to point out is that this tow hook here was where you tried to pull it out.
Yeah,
and
it looked like that.
Yeah.
Now it's sitting like that.
Just goes to show how much it doesn't want to move.
It doesn't want to move at all.
Is the fact that this metal tow hook was torn off. And then on the centre, covered in all kinds of stuff, we have the original GoPro mount from, believe it or not, this is the same GoPro mount we used in our very first video 6 years ago, which is just like a GoPro mount.
We were so cheap, so we took out the base plate that the GoPro was mounted on.
In the box.
And we just took that and duct taped that on.
Taped it to the front bumper.
Because they didn't want to use the one with the M3 tape onto them.
So that right there is the start of this channel.
That is history.
That is history.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So without further ado, we are going to dive into this engine bay and see what we can see.
Try not to get lost. I got my torchlight with me. I look like a doctor ready to perform surgery.
Oh, you're not performing on me.
It's upside down. So the first thing we can start off doing is checking if we actually get a current supply of power onto that little box down there, which is like a resistor. Or here it's called retain supply and ballast, which is just 2 coils wrapped next to each other. We should take the power from 24 volts. This is a 24 volt. You can see the huge generator here. That tells us it's a 24 volt army vehicle, because all the radio and stuff went off 24 volts back in the day, and they still do in the Danish army, I can tell you. But so we need to check if that one is taking the power from 24 volts down to 12 volts, and see if it actually gets through that onto the glow plugs. And if we know it's getting power through there, we're gonna change the glow plugs. If we don't get any power there, we're just gonna look for a fuse somewhere, or an earth that's not properly connected anymore, and then that should help the problem. So now we need to get all the wires off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wires, and 4 glow plugs out and new ones in. Should be easy, but it's not going to. Just we are not very lucky. Of course, this could also just be a loose connection somewhere between all these plugs that causing the first one to ignite but not any of the other ones. But now we've got the whole kit, we're just going to replace it now anyway. Also, if that's not the case on your car, you can see how it's done. Not professionally, but just done. And the new style of glow plug, you can see there's quite a lot of difference on them. But the thread and everything is still the same. And what actually happens is that when you turn the heat on, this thing gets very, very hot, so the whole thing gets hot, as you just saw. And then that bit heats up the inside of the cylinder. You keep that for about 10 to 20 seconds, and you crank the engine, it blows loads of diesel oil into it, and it compresses it, and then that makes the actual combustions happen, which is why these are pretty much spark plugs in a diesel. So if these don't work, you're not going to go anywhere. Or at least if one of them, two of them doesn't work. If only one fails and they're wired the correct way, it will still fire up because then the block gets heated up. But this connection was the second one that didn't work, so there's only one heating up, and that isn't enough to start the engine. So that was a faulty one. Put that one there. Another series. I like surrounded by Land Rovers in here. On the instructions, you can see here that this is what is before you replace it. Goes on, bam, 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 and the end bit here actually goes back to the engine block itself, which we can see down here is this wire. Like a tiny little wire here on a 13mm, isn't it? Yeah, 13mm stuck onto the block. And according to the manual, it says we need to remove that because that's not on the finished result. So take that one off and not put it back onto it again. And here he comes, hopefully. Don't drop it. There you go. So the wire that goes onto the last glow plug, and this one goes onto the engine block itself. We put that one back onto the engine blocks just so we don't get any dust or stuff into it. So what we've done now is that we have put number 2 glow plug in, which is that one right there. As you can see on this diagram that came with it, you need to put the longest wire from the box, power supply box, and onto the second one. And from the second one, it goes back to the first and fourth, third and fourth from that one. So first we're going to put the second one in, put wires around that, and then have the second one actually put the power out to the rest of them. But that's a really simple install. Just put them in, don't over tighten them. There's probably a torque setting for it, but just tighten it so you don't crush anything. But it's not going to come out. So that's what we're going to do now, and put the wires on. There's different lengths on them. You kind of see that this one is for the second and the first one. This one is for the second and third one, because you got a middle bit here in between the injector bit, and then this one is for the last one. So we're just going to give it so. Don't use the old wires here when you've got new ones. So throw those away. Oh, that catch. Throw those away and use the new ones. Yell if you see any kind of fire that's not supposed to be there.
Is there any kind of fire that is meant to be there?
So you've got lifter pump, which lifts from the fuel tank up to the injector pump. Injector pump ejects into the engine. And those are got some kind of air trapped into them. Crank it.
So in true Land Rover fashion, we fixed a problem that didn't quite exist, or possibly didn't exist, and found another one. If you would like to expand on that.
We found out that only the first glow plug was actually working and the rest 3 wasn't, so we replaced all that, but that wasn't the problem in reality. So I think the next problem should be looking at the fuel system, because I don't think it's getting any fuel into the engine. And we have tried and bled all the air out of the system and still not working. So we have to do some big thoughts and come back to this guy.
Yeah.
Some other points.
Yeah, we're just going to keep pulling things apart and finding new problems until we have an entirely restored car, basically, I imagine. That's kind of how these things go. But yeah, it was interesting to be working on this car again. Well, not again, it was the first time we've actually worked on it, but yeah, interesting to have it on the channel for the first time in a very, 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 very long time. So hopefully it appears back soon again, and it'll be out in daylight for the first time in a few years. We can actually do some fun stuff with it. But apart from that, thank you very much for watching, and if you enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button if you're new, and we will see you in the next video.